Okay, this question asks us to solve it by factoring, quadratic formula, and completing the square. And then we want to check our answer by plugging in those values for x. So 3x squared minus 11x equals 4 is what we're starting with. And we will first try to solve that with factoring. So we're going to subtract 4 from both sides. 3x squared minus 11x minus 4 is 0. And then what we're going to do, we're going to go ahead and do our factor box and try to factor this. 3x squared here, minus 4 here, minus 11x there. 3x times x. 4 and 1, I think. Make this minus 4, make this plus 1. I think that'll work. Negative 4 times 3x. Negative 12x, positive 1 times x, positive 1x. 3, that adds up to negative 11x. So we get 3x plus 1 times x minus 4. 3x plus 1 times x minus 4 is 0. So 3x plus 1 is 0. Or x minus 4 is 0. 3x is negative 1, x is negative 1/3, or x is 4. So our answers seem to be negative 1/3 and 4. So that was our first approach. The next approach I want us to use is the quadratic formula. So again, we have 3x squared minus 11x equals 4. Quadratic formula requires us to have everything equaling 0. So I'll subtract 4 again. What is the quadratic formula? X equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Okay. What do I have here? I have a is 3, b is negative 11, c is negative 4. Again, x is negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Negative b, negative of negative 11 is positive 11. Plus or minus the square root of b squared, that's negative 11 squared. Minus 4a, 4 times 3, times c times negative 4, all over 2a, all over 2 times 3. So we get x equals negative 11 times negative 11, well, first of all, positive 11 plus or minus. Negative 11 squared is 121. 4 times 3 times negative 4 is minus negative 48, that'd be plus 48. All over 2 times 3 is 6. So we get 11 plus or minus root 169 over 6, which is 11 plus or minus 13 over 6. 11 plus 13 over 6. We get 11 minus 13 over 6. My two answers. Let's simplify those. 11 plus 13 is 24 over 6. 11 minus 13, negative 2 over 6. Let's simplify it one more time. 24 over 6 is 4. Negative 2 over 6 is negative 1/3, which agrees with what I had with factoring. Now, part C says solve with completing the square. You'll notice I wrote challenging here because frankly, if it were up to me, I would not choose that strategy. Completing the square is nice if the leading term is 1, if the x squared term is 1, and especially if the x squared term is 1 and the middle term is even, then completing the square is nice. If not, fractions get nasty. So let's do it. 3x squared minus 11x equals 4. If I'm going to do this with completing the square, I need to have a leading term of 1, so divide by 3. 3x squared over 3 minus 11x over 3 equals 4 over 3. I get x squared minus 11/3 of x equals 4/3. Now we need to complete the square. I like to draw a square to see it, to complete it. So this is x squared. These two middle guys have to add up to negative 11/3, which is the same thing as negative 22/6, correct? So these two boxes have to add up to negative 11/3. These two boxes have to add up to negative 22/6. So each one is negative 11/6. Negative 11/6 here and negative 11/6 there. Notice if I add them together, I get negative 22/6 or negative 11/3. So x times x is x squared. X times negative 11/6 is negative 11/6x. X times negative 11/6x here, negative 11/6. And the two guys in the middle add up to negative 11/3 x. So again, I probably should put x's there for clarification. Now if I multiply them together, negative times negative, positive, 11 times 11, 121. 6 times 6 is 36. Add 121/36 to both sides. Four thirds plus 121/36. Let's do that on the calculator. 4 thirds plus 121 over 36 gives me that. Let's change it into a fraction. Math, change it into a fraction. And we get 169 over 36. So the right side is 169 over 36. Remember we saw 169 before. The left side, what do we have here? X minus 11/6 times x minus 11/6, which is the same thing as x minus 11/6 squared. So the left side is x minus 11/6 squared. So we take the square root of both sides. Square root of x minus 11/6 squared is plus or minus square root of 169 over 36. So x minus 11/6 is plus or minus 13/6. So x is 11/6 plus or minus 13/6. So what are my two answers? 11 plus 13/6, 11/6, excuse me, plus 13/6 and 11/6 minus 13/6, or 11 plus 13, 24/6, 11 minus 13, negative 2/6, or 24/6, 4, negative 1/3. And that makes me happy because that agrees with what I obtained when I did factoring and when I did the quadratic formula. So we want to check this with the graphing calculator. So we believe that 4 is x. So I'm going to take 4, store in x. Now, what do I want to show? What do I hope? Remember, my question is 3x squared minus 11x equals 4. So let's see if that's the case. 3x squared minus 11x. 3x squared minus 11x. 11x, oops, hit the wrong button there. And what do we get? We get 4. You probably could have done that in your head. 4 squared is 16. 3 times 16 is 48. 11 times 4 is 48. Excuse me, 44. 48 minus 44 is 4. But negative 1/3 a little harder to do in your head, so let's do that on the calculator. Negative 1/3 store in x. And let's see what 3x squared minus 11x is. 3x squared minus 11x. What does that give me? That gives me, I hope it gives me 4. And it does, so it checks.